Hello and welcome back. In this video today we are going to once again look at Amazon CodeCatalyst. Today the focus is going to be on making sure that we have a look around the source and the issues tab that CodeCatalyst offers. In the previous video I've already given you an introduction around an overview on what CodeCatalyst is and what you can use it for. With that, let's get started. So we are back into CodeCatalyst in the space that we looked at last time. We have the project that we set up last time in the introduction video, and we're going to just look at that. And as already mentioned, today we're going to look at the issues and also at the code tab over here. The plan is to look at source repositories briefly and at pull requests briefly. From an issues perspective, this is really meant to be your one and only planning tool. You have two different options. Today, until now, you can on the one side use the internal issues management, which is what you see over here. But then I'm going to switch over to another project. You also have the possibility to configure the project in a way that it links to a Jira Cloud account. This is what I've done over here. This essentially just replaces the issues link by a link to your Jira board, which is something that you can configure as well when setting up the project. In this case, as you can see, I've done that, right? So I've changed the issues to directly link into Jira, and it's going to end up in my Jira Cloud instance. This then replaces the internal management of Jira issues. Of issues in the CodeCatalyst itself. So let's have a look on the possibility to use your internal view, because this is what really CodeCatalyst is meant to be. It's meant to be your one and only place where you need to go to deal with your project, right? So let's go with the first example. Let's create an issue, change title of page. As you can see, this is pretty basic right now. You have a lot of editing functionalities. You have a status that you can choose. You have a priority that you're able to choose. You can add labels, assignees, and you can also create custom fields. Creating custom fields supports text, number, date, and Boolean fields. But let's go with the default one. Once you have done that, you will have the issue over here. You can now, just as in Jira or in other issue management tools, use this Kanban board to move this from to do to in progress to review or to done. You can also, I think, send it to the backlog somehow, right? So over here, you can mark it as blocked. You can move it to an archive, but you can also move it over to the backlog. And I'm sorry for clicking around wrongly. The configuration options that you have over here for this board are, I would call it, pretty basic. You can configure what you want to use for estimation perspective. You can use t-shirt sizes of Fibonacci. Fibonacci comes from Scrum and can be pretty helpful. You can also, as you can see over here, add additional statuses down here. You will then see what the current status is for that. And you can move the issues always in all of the actions that are available today. The backlog is something that you can access over here. So you can just click on the arrow and then you will see the backlog. Let's create an issue in the backlog, issue, and we can create it over here, which will now mean that we are not going to see it in the board, right? So if I go over here, it's not going to be visible, but it is going to be visible in the backlog over here. As you can see, there's also the possibility to go to create your own view, which gives you the possibility to, as an example, group by assignee, if you want to do that. And this is then something that will also be visible for all of your teammates. So let's assign this one to myself. This would then mean that this is going to be visible on the board as well. Over here you can see my icon. If I change over to the view, you will see that this is now grouped by myself. The issues have the basic functionality of commenting stuff. You can mention other team members in the same team, and yeah, I think this is really good enough to get you started. So if you're a small team that wants to start looking at CodeCatalyst, this is a very good thing. You don't need to move out to a different tool. You don't need to set up a different tool or pay for a different tool, because it all comes in with CodeCatalyst. Cool. That's about it, what I wanted to show about the issues. If you have any remarks or things that you really find interesting, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments of the video, or also in reaching out to me on Slack, or maybe also on LinkedIn. Now let's move over to the code piece. As I have already shown you or told you before, there's two different possibilities. One is to have internal repositories that are provided by CodeCatalyst, but there is also the other option to link existing repositories. At the current stage, this will only support Bitbucket, GitHub. Sorry. What I need to do to make this happen is I need to install the GitHub extension over here. With installing the GitHub extension, I will now need to link my GitHub account. The UI here uses, I think, OAuth 2, so it is pretty basic, pretty neat to set up. I'm gonna just use my existing token. I'm gonna and let's see that we add our MFA token that is required for GitHub. As you can see, it really follows all of the guidelines that you need. Okay, so here I need to give it access. So this already is set up as it looks like. So let's go back to our view over here, where we should now see the GitHub account, which has been linked, and I can also now link GitHub repositories over here. So if I now want to go back to the source view, this is something that we could change that would be cool to be changed, that you don't get any possibility in the history to see where you actually were, right? So let's go back to source. And over here, we're gonna now try again linking a repository. As you can see, now I have a repository provider which is called GitHub. I have my GitHub account, and I can now use, I don't know, something like, let's go with this example, which is one of the repositories that I've used in one of my talks. And now you will see that this will be a different provider. You will be linked to managing the source code directly in GitHub after you have this, and you will now also be able to see workflows that are stored as part of this repository. Without looking into more details on the GitHub side, let's have a look on the view that we see for source code over here. So as you can see, you will see all of the files. If you remember correctly from the last video that I gave, when we initially created this project, there was an automatic start of the workflow. At least that's what I hope, that we should be able to see that now. So we had an on-push to main deployment pipeline run, which was executed. And what we did not look at last time is the possibility that there is going to be an application, a CloudFront distribution that has been directly set up for us. So this is the sample application. So what I now want to do is I want to change the title here, right, for Welcome to CodeCatalyst, and then we're going to see how this is going to be deployed. So for that, I will need to start creating a branch over here. I'm going to name that number 1, change title. Number 1, because this is the issue number 1 that we're working on, right? So remembering ourselves, what we're looking at is this issue number 1. Now we're going to work on this branch. We're going to go to source, and hopefully somewhere over here we're going to find the corresponding welcome page that we want to see. It is not in here. This is okay. Let's see if we can find it over here. This is the whole template for Angular. As you can see, you can directly edit it over here. So I would assume that this is the header. So we're going to click on edit. We're going to once again scroll down to find the welcome piece. Welcome to CodeCatalyst demo. We're going to commit this piece. As you can see, I can here now add a commit message. I can also format that. I'm committing this to the branch, which is good because I am working on that one branch that we created. And now I will be able to set up a pull request for this branch. And creating a pull request for this branch, pushing back to main, will now show me the differences over here. At least that's what I'm expecting. As you can see, there is only a small change. The pull request view currently has a, let's call it, simple view to see, right? There's not much details in it, but you can already add comments and stuff like that to this line. You can see the unified and the split view. I'm gonna give this a name, change title, index page, and now we're going to see two things. Once I create this pull request over here, we're going to see that there's a workflow being executed, hopefully soon, right? So now we had a second workflow over here. So in the repository that is CodeCatalyst introduction, we do have an on pull request build and test, right? So a specific workflow that should now be executed on pull request creation. I hope that this is now going to start as well. And once this one is concluded, right, we would then see the view of this workflow run on the right-hand side. And once the build is successful, we could then move over and merge this pull request up to main. After doing the merge, we would then see the second workflow kicking off, right, which is the on push to main and deploy pipeline. So this one is really going to now only execute. This is funny, right? This is now being executed on this other branch. So this is one of the things that I didn't see. But on the workflows, I can look at the branch, and on this branch now the run is being executed. And we will now hopefully see that this is going to do a build and it's going to run the Angular tests. And then this will be completed, hopefully in a few minutes. And we're going to look at more details for the workflows in one of the next videos. So today really we wanted to focus on source repositories and on pull requests. And yeah, that's about it. So we did the change now actually online. Obviously there is also a different possibility. So you can also get your code locally and work on it locally. The way that you would do that is you would need to use git clone and clone the repository. In order to do that, you will need to have your username, which is going to be your build ID, and your token. The token can either be, as you can see it over here, something that you can set up for a specific repository, or you can also set this up directly in your CodeCatalyst user overview. As you can see, I have multiple tokens that I've been using for different purposes. But that's what you're going to need, right, to be able to download this Bitbucket repository. And then you can use it as a Git endpoint in the same way that you would be doing it with other Git providers. So I think that was a very important information as well. Yeah, with that, let's go back to see if our workflow has already finished. So this first piece has already finished. Now it is executing the test phase. In the test phase, as you can see, it's going to do npm install. It's going to install some headless Chrome thing, and then it's going to execute. So we're not going to wait for this to complete. But with this, I wanted to end today's overview, which was focused on issues and the source repositories and pull requests in Amazon CodeCatalyst. If you have any other questions or anything else that you would like to see from a CodeCatalyst perspective, please feel free to reach out to me and ask me. And the next session that I'm going to prepare is going to be focused on working with the development environment, which I think is one of the very cool things that CodeCatalyst offers you. We're going to try that out. Going to give you some introduction of what that actually means and how they are going to help you to be more productive. Then in the next session after that development environment session, I want to look at the workflows, which is, as this YouTube channel, what I think is really the most important thing. It's the CI/CD pipeline that you can build for your project. So thanks a lot for watching this. If you find this video really useful, please like and share it. If you have any questions or remarks or any things that I did not answer, please feel free to let me know. You have all of the details on how to reach out to me in the channel details. So thanks a lot, and looking forward to see you soon. With that, have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.